Good morning, and welcome to All People's Church, Unitarian, Universalist. Good morning. My name is Mary Kerwin, and I will be your co-celebrant this morning. In the pulpit today, we're very happy to welcome back the Reverend Dr. Stephen Sprinkle. Dr. Sprinkle is known to us as the Emeritus Professor of Practical Theology at Bright Divinity School, Texas Christian University, here in Fort Worth. Prior to his retirement from Bright, Stephen held the office of Director of Field Education and supervised ministry there for many years, where he taught a number of our Unitarian Universalist divinity students, as well as our minister, Lori King Nelson. Throughout his career, Stephen has served tirelessly on behalf of the LGBTQIA+ community as a human rights advocate, a widely sought speaker, and an internationally recognized authority on the LGBTQ hate crimes. Dr. Sprinkle is currently serving as the theologian in residence at the Episcopal Church of St. Thomas the Apostle in Dallas. Dr. Sprinkle and his life partner, Rob Rodriguez, live in the Oak Cliff section of Dallas, and they are ardent dog fanciers. We welcome you, Dr. Sprinkle. If you're here for the first time or have been here before, one time or many, you are welcome here. All People's Church is more than a place to gather on Sundays. It's a community, a spiritual home where you may develop and deepen your gifts. We gather to feed our minds and souls that we may each become blessings to our families, to our friends, and to the larger world around us. If you're a visitor today and you haven't signed in, please do so. There's a visitor's table by the front door. Signing in will give us the opportunity to acknowledge your visit and place you on our mailing list to receive weekly emails and our monthly newsletter. Now, before we continue on with our service, please note that we have a few announcements. Our Valentine's Day plant sale is still in progress. There are a few potted kalanchoe plants. They're in a decorative ceramic pot, and they're valued at $15, but your cost is only $5 each. They're for sale in the foyer after church, and proceeds will benefit our church flower fund. They're selling fast, so don't miss out. And David Bindi would like to make an announcement.
I'm going to try not to talk too fast, but I got a lot to say here, so listen up. A couple of announcements, a quick survey, a special favor to ask of you, and two special surprises. First of all, our choir director, Josh Jordan, stand up, Josh, is going to be singing in a performance of Carmina Burana that a lot of you are familiar with. He's singing with the Dallas Winds over in at the Morton Meyerson Symphony Hall, and that's on Tuesday, this Tuesday, January 21st at 7:30. And he's got special prices on tickets, so after service, check with Josh if you're available and interested in seeing Carmina Burana over in Dallas. Second announcement, on February 20th, we're having a fundraiser here. It's going to be 6 different churches having a concert raising money for the North Texas Transportation Network, NTTN, and it's for scholarships for trans people that need to travel out of the state to get treatments and stuff. So we want to raise a lot of money. Tickets for the concert is only $5, but they're having sponsorships. So I'm hoping that as a church, we can come up with at least a couple $1,000s to sponsor some people that need a lot of help because we live in Texas, and that's the way it is. So buck up and let's deal with what we have to deal with. So that's one of the ways. The third announcement is next week on Sunday and Monday, we have 2 Spectrum concerts back to back here in the church. Some of the schedules say 7 o'clock, some of them say 7:30. So on Monday it's definitely 7:30, but on Sunday some of the advertisements say 7, some say 7:30. So come early. I'm assuming they'll wait till 7:30, but you don't want to miss out. Okay. Now, the second part, a quick survey. How many of you have ever been to a Spectrum concert? Raise your hands real quick. Wow, it's almost unanimous. Okay, how many of you have at least one friend in your life? How many have 2? Wow, that's more than me, but that's great. How many of you have friends who like classical music? Okay, that's unanimous. Here's my favor. I want those 2 concerts back to back to be a success. So after the service today, if you would give me your phone number and your email, I will send you a text and an email with all the information for the concert. And if you would send that out to all of your friends that might be interested in classical music, this is the best kept secret in Fort Worth, and we got to change that. And that's a pretty easy way to do it. You have your phone, you send texts and emails every day. So after the service, if you'll give me your phone number and your email, I'll send you a text. And if you would send that out to all of your friends that even might be interested in classical music or a musical experience, I'd appreciate it, because I'd love to fill up this church. It's a fantastic thing for the community. It's a fantastic thing for the church. And it's just such a wonderful thing to share. Okay, that's the survey, the favor. Now, I have 2 special announcements. So on Monday night for the Spectrum, they always do a free will offering. They suggest $20, but that's a lot for some people. I would make a plea that if you like classical music, would you please come? I don't care if you give $1 or $2 or $5 or $20 or $50. The musicians don't do their work for nobody. They want to perform for people. So it's not the money, it's the presence. So we need bodies in the chairs. So on Monday, would you please come if you can only give $1 and fill up the church and pass the information on to the people. Now, the one on Sunday night, Spectrum is a 501c organization, so they don't make any money. The board of directors doesn't make any money. All the money goes to the musicians. So you're not paying for somebody to be in charge. You're just paying the musicians for coming and performing. So it's a fantastic thing. Now, on Sunday night, they're charging $35, and that's a charge because they've invited a special guest to come and play an original Chinese instrument. So it's going to be a real experience. Plus the members of the symphony orchestra playing along with them. Plus a catered meal, a catered food afterwards with real Chinese food, traditional Chinese food, because they're celebrating the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year. So the charge is $35, but Dan Seigel, the guy in charge, is so appreciative of all the work that that Carl does to get out all the newsletters and all the posters, he has offered us a discount, and for everybody, and this is just for our church, $20 to come to the concert and partake in the music and the food and everything. Now, this is, I have a special spot in my heart. This is the third and fourth time that the Van Cliburn gold medalist John Lee will be coming back to perform in our church. So it's pretty special. The first time he was here, we had over 100 people here. The second time he was here, we only had 9 people. So I would really like him not to think that we're a poor participation church. So Dan Seigel has offered us a discount of $20, and I'm going to up that ante. I have a $20 bill in my pocket for every single one of you that will come to the concert on Sunday. So if you can't afford it or whatever, I will pay for everybody in this building to come on Sunday night and hear the music. So please come and get your $20 from me after the service. So, if you don't go to the concert, you can give me the $20 back. But I don't want anybody not to come to the concert because they can't pay for it. So I have $20 for everybody here today and to come to the concert on Sunday, and then sign your phone number and email so I can send you the information so you can share it with everybody so that we can pack this church. Thank you very much.
And now please settle comfortably for our musical prelude. I invite you to stand in body or spirit. Not yet, though. First, we'll have our opening words. that were written by the Reverend Michel Lagrave. We gather together, we arrive as individuals, as couples, as families, as neighbors, and as friends. We got here by walking, by biking, by riding, by driving, by connecting. We bring with us our joys and our sorrows, our laughter and our tears, our worries and our fears, our questions and our beliefs, our ethics and our values. Some of us arrived early this morning, or joined us 10 minutes ago, or encountered obstacles on their way, or will arrive just in time for the sermon, or will sign online later this week or even later this month. We are sitting in chairs, leaning on walkers or canes, stretching in the aisles, settling in wheelchairs, and relaxing in recliners. We, the members, friends, and visitors alike, come from many paths and join together as one congregation to lift up our highest ideals. We have gathered, now let us worship. And we now invite you to rise in body or spirit for the chalice lighting, the opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words this morning are from Grounding Our Faith by Alice Anacheka Nazeman. In a time of uncertainty, when everything around us is changing constantly, each day a new development, rising numbers, changing guidelines, when the world we live in suddenly seems upside down and topsy-turvy, we light our chalice to remind ourselves of our grounding in our faith, a reminder of the strength that emerges when we come together in community. And please now join in singing our opening hymn of the month for January, which is number 159, This Is My Song. Our spoken affirmation: love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Now, the young and the young at heart are invited to come forward for our time for all ages here at the front of the chancel. And today we're doing a little something different for our time for all ages. And so I would ask the choir to come forward as well.
Human, half fish. They live in the oceans or lakes. They wear a bra under the water. It's a seashell. And every night they spread magic across the land. And that night becomes a great night. Number 3, unicorn. A unicorn has sparkly hair and goes, "Nay, nay!" It has special powers for making sparkle parties. Number 4, imaginary friends. Some people can't see them, others can. My imaginary friend is named Fred. He has tan-colored skin. He's very nice. He has gold hair. Fred can fly. Dragons can be good or bad. Either people ride it, or it's an evil dragon, and it just destroys everything. It goes, and it breathes out fire. I would be friends with a dragon if it was a nice one. If you're friends with a dragon, you're gonna have a great time.
Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. That vision is embodied in congregations of all sizes. No matter its size, every congregation depends on each of its members. Each one of you, by your commitment of time, energy, and resources, helps make that grand vision real. It is our custom to share the undesignated cash offerings that are collected each week. We do this quarterly for a nonprofit or a charitable organization. Our Share the Plate recipient for the first quarter of 2025 is the Tarrant County Reading Partners. If you prefer, donations can be made using the QR code that is on the back of the order of service. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Will our ushers please come forward? And I now ask you to stand for our hymn, number 1023, Building Bridges. And we'll be doing this in a round. We'll sing in rounds. And if I could have a couple of volunteers from the choir to come forward, we'll split into two parts, this side of the church and this side of the church. Misha will play it through one time, and then we will sing the song in two times through. Please be seated. At this time in our service, we pause to honor and to give time and attention to those things that are most important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts, and to honor our time together with the shared stories and the news from the congregation. Each week there's a journal outside the entrance where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center, which is here at the side of the chancel. In our book of memory and hope this morning, we have been asked to remember our longtime church member, Gail Roundtree, who has been living with the effects of Huntington's disease for quite some time. Gail moved to assisted living in Decatur, Texas, just prior to COVID to be closer to her daughter, Camille. Gail's extended family has gathered together at this time and would appreciate our thoughts and prayers for Gail at this difficult time. We'll now pause to hold and honor the sorrows and the celebrations among us, including those that are deeply felt but are left here unspoken. Let us pause for a moment of silent meditation and music.
Good morning to you, each and every one. What a joy it is to be here again. After a decade, it was wonderful to be reminded by Julie that I was here 10 years ago when Turner Bridgeforth was a student at Bright Divinity School and was doing an internship here with you. It's also a delight to look across this congregation and see faces I recognize, renew friendships, and to make many new friendships. I'm thankful for that. And to say that what an honor it is to have Mike Wright Chapman here. Mike, who might raise his hand, Mike is chaplain at Juliet Fowler Communities in Dallas, Texas. And I am so delighted that he came here to be a part of this service. Mike, thanks. It's good. As you know by now, the message that I have designed for today is entitled, "The World We Seek." The World We Seek. And I am going to be using in the course of this sermon one time in which I use a word that is a bit jarring because it is typical of those who assault LGBTQ people. So, if that is a trigger for you, now you are warned. And the word is queer, just so you know. Eboo Patel wrote in Hearing the Call Across Traditions, "Service is not only a bridge between the cosmic and the concrete, but also between Islam and Judaism, Christianity and Buddhism, secular humanism and Hinduism. The diverse community that is humanity is not fated to be divided by the clash of civilizations. We can just as easily be united on the common ground of service. All we have to do is cross the bridge." I thank the Reverend Laurie King Nelson, Judy Hevelone, Mary Ann Clark, Mary Kerwin, who is my co-celebrant today, and all here at All Peoples for inviting me to come back and speak. It's an honor. I'm mindful of the importance of this Sunday on the eve of what I take to be the devolution of justice in our ongoing American story. And for the signal we send for faith communities of all traditions that serve LGBTQ plus residents and allies here throughout North Texas. May I say as I begin, how deeply mindful I also am of the challenge to all faith and faith-free groups posed by the increasingly bold white Christian nationalist minority in this country. This aggressive group has hijacked American civil religion and is now empowered by an ebullient MAGA extremist government and their mega-rich backers. Tomorrow, as I am sure we are all too well aware, this coalition is eager to take a second bite at the presidential apple. So on that day, I shall be celebrating the MLK holiday. How about you? We have some important questions to ask ourselves as LGBTQ plus people and allies in America. We LGBTQ plus folk, no less than any of the other communities that make up this nation, now live in a tragically divided world. And divisions over religions have become sadly severe. Have religion and spirituality served to unite us as an LGBTQ plus community in the last decade? Or have they actually furthered divisions between us? And depending upon how we address that question, have religion and spirituality helped us heal the nation? I accept the increasing consensus among serious students of history that history does not, I repeat, does not repeat itself. But indeed, it does rhyme. So I advise that we look to how Americans have dealt with religion-soaked violence in our recent past for some guidance on how to meet the struggle we now face. Specifically looking to 9/11 and to January 6th. I found that recalling the crises of past struggles can often open up insights on how to meet present challenges. Since the infamous attacks on 9/11 and then upon the United States Capitol building on January 6th, has the LGBTQ plus struggle around religion hampered our role in the healing of the nation? The Reverend Paul Brandeis Rauschenbusch, president of the Interfaith Alliance, wrestled with this question in his article entitled, "In the Years After 9/11, Has Religion Driven Us Apart or Drawn Us Together?" Rauschenbusch recalled two provocative examples of faith community responses to the attacks of 9/11. His first example was from Pat Robertson and Jerry Falwell. You remember them? They said that God had allowed jets to crash into the Twin Towers and into the Pentagon because God was angry with American tolerance of gays, lesbians, feminists, the ACLU, and anyone else who offended their sense of the divine. As the flames still smoldered on the wreckage of Ground Zero and the fields of Shanksville, PA, Robertson and Falwell stoked the fires of religious bigotry, good old American style. Blame the women, the queers, the lawyers, and the liberals. Pretty well covered the waterfront, didn't it? But Rauschenbusch, the great-grandson of Walter Rauschenbusch, the originator of the social gospel movement in the United States, said that there was a far better religious response to 21st century terrorism. As the news broke on that morning, planes were hijacked and flown deep into the American psyche. It became clear that the terrorists were fundamentalist Muslim extremists. Many feared that vengeful violence would focus on the Muslim American community. Indeed, some of that did happen. But in the main, the better angels of our people prevailed. In the days following the 9/11 attacks, reports came in from all over our nation that Christians, Jews, Buddhists, and other people of faith had called local masjids and mosques to offer their help. Rather than bigotry and acts of hatred, America's diverse religious communities offered solidarity, support, and direct assistance to Muslims. In an important counterpoint to the outworn thoughts and prayers of bystander Americans. As Rauschenbusch writes, instead of turning against Muslims, the religious community rallied for their fellow Americans of a different faith tradition. These two different religious perspectives have characterized the role of religion and spirituality in America since 9/11. On the one hand, we can't deny it. Religion has been a vehicle of division and bigotry. We've only to think of the heart-wrenching struggle over whether a proposed Muslim community center could be built at Park 51, near the site of the fallen Twin Towers, even though the imam of that community was famed for his interfaith spirit and his work to bring religious communities together in New York City. Anti-Muslim attitudes certainly did appear to be on the rise, even after the killing of Osama bin Laden by American troops. Anti-Sharia law bills were proposed in many states out of irrational fear that there was no realistic probability that such a danger exists, all because of scripture-quoting sponsors who equate all Islam with terrorism, something that we know is just plain false. Eboo Patel, the Muslim leader whose words led off this address this morning, has said, quote, "In the 21st century, faith can be a bomb of destruction or a barrier of division or a bridge of cooperation." As the nation continues to heal from the trauma of 9/11 and to grapple with our post-January 6th political landscape, no single community of Americans knows how true it is that religion can be a bomb or a bridge than the LGBTQ plus community. We have been the target of religion-based bigotry and heterosexist supremacy for generations. And it appears that the tide of hatred is rising in America again. Yet, we continue stubbornly to assert ourselves in every faith community of the nation. As LGBTQ plus folk and allies, we have two simultaneous missions to perform. We must heed the call of our LGBTQ predominant and our progressive faith communities to serve the cause of justice, resist the bad elements that are embedded in all of our religious traditions, and we must seek finally and fully to come to terms within the LGBT plus community about religion and its role in our own lives and loves. If we are to contribute our share of justice and peace toward a more whole and just America, then we've got to roll up our sleeves and get to the work. The message is clear. When religious leaders stand on the front lines against religious extremism and the bad elements in each of our traditions, then the cause of peace and unity is served. The message is of paramount importance to religious communities both outside the LGBTQ plus population and within it. So what are we rainbow people to do about the tension in our own household about religion and faith? If you want to start a fuss in the LGBTQ community, bring up religion. You're going to get a fuss within about a minute and a half. Have our arguments about organized religion as LGBTQ people drawn us together into a justice-seeking community, or have they contributed to fragmentation and division among our diverse rainbow tribe? Religion is a serious problem for LGBTQ plus people. And that problem is not going to be going away anytime soon. But the cause of preventing hate crimes and fighting for justice for ourselves and everyone else requires secular and spiritual folk to unite in order to confront the religious question. No other form of contemporary bias against a social group is as theologically based as anti-LGBTQ plus discrimination. the last great demographic that it is still possible to hate in public in American life is the sexual minority. And 9 times out of 10, the justification given by those who kill LGBTQ plus people is rooted in religion as mediated by the rhetoric of theological hatred. That is why white Christian nationalists target same-gender loving people. They want us eliminated. But we are not going to be intimidated. While I do not feel any need to conduct some kind of rescue mission on the Bible or benighted religious groups, I do believe that the best way to fight fire is with fire. Not hellfire and brimstone, as the religious right wing employs against us, but the refining fire of truth and love applied by spiritually devoted LGBTQ plus Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, pagans, and others who are coming out in larger numbers every single year. Further, we must rededicate ourselves to refuse to leave our faith communities, no matter the pressure applied to us to do so. We rainbow folk are finding out that we have allies by the millions in these faith groups who are just as incensed as we are about right-wing nuts who claim to speak for God on the matter of homosexuality, transgender life, and human rights. Struggles over separation of church and state, reproductive rights, and the ordination of LGBTQ plus people have been joined in every faith tradition in America. And though there are setbacks, there is reason to hope that the tide is turning toward mercy, justice, and the golden rule. Take the belated awakening of justice in the United Methodist Church as a prime example. LGBTQ plus people of faith and our allies are the very ones to join the battle for good faith against bad religion. Many are stepping up to the front line to do so every single day. Unless we LGBTQ plus people of faith and our secular faith-free sisters and brothers heal the rift among ourselves over religion and learn how to work side by side, we will remain too divided and too weak to engage the mission our faith calls us to accomplish. The healing of the nation's lingering wounds after 9/11 and January 6th. Strangely enough, the very attacks that are focused against our faith communities backfire in the face of those who wish us ill. Unjustified bigotry draws attention to our struggle and rallies the better angels of the American people toward peace and equality. The angel of a people is a way of personifying the genius or the unique gift that they have to give to the world. The Greeks called this angel a daimon, or genius of the group. Now, anyone can see, all you have to do is look, that a one-winged angel cannot fly. It will only spin round and round and round in place, which is uncomfortably close to the actual effect this feud has had on LGBTQ and progressive political power, with secular and spiritual people spinning in place. Division among ourselves is a luxury when we face the threat of white supremacy, blasphemous devotion to a drab orange idol, and the rise of so-called Christian, quote unquote, nationalism. Let us come together. Let there be two angels, arm in arm, to express the incompleteness of opposing parties and the strength of unity. Let these two partners, faith-based and faith-free, embrace each other tightly, so that finally, together, spreading their wings, the true genius of our communities will carry us into a new era of LGBTQ plus healing and wholeness. President Abraham Lincoln, in his first inaugural address, spoke to a nation that was on the verge of the bloodiest war in the history of this republic. He spoke directly to Southern secessionists and said these words, "I am loath to close. We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic cords of memory stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land will yet swell the chorus of the Union when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature." The challenges that face this country, LGBTQ plus and straight alike, religiously affiliated and faith-free as well, are surely no greater than Mr. Lincoln faced in 1861. The faith traditions of America finally found courage enough to face and defeat the bad elements in each of their traditions. Bombs were indeed transformed into bridges. Diverse faith communities of the religions set about doing the work of the better angels of our American nature, binding up the wounds of the people, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, honoring the fallen, educating the children, and serving the people. Lord, the people. There is a practical vision of what a healing and whole same-gender loving community can do in the service of healing and making a nation whole. When we join together in harmony and hope, getting on with the work of binding up the wounds of our neighbors and caring for the children, no matter whose children they are, we ourselves then take our place among the better angels of this world. If we get to the task of serving the people, employing all the compassion and wisdom we've learned from generations of struggle, then we LGBTQ folk will have done our share to recreate a more perfect union, a more perfect America, a more perfect world. There is no turning back or faltering on the gate that leads to tomorrow. Tony Kushner, the author of Angels in America, Perestroika, said it this way: "The world only spins forward. We will be citizens. The time has come. Bye now. You are fabulous creatures, each and every one. And I bless you. More life. The great work begins."
Please now stand and join in singing our closing hymn, number 121, "We'll Build a Land." Knowing how quickly the flame of truth may be extinguished, how easily the chalice of fellowship broken, let us be vigilant in faith, keep peace in our hearts, and make care for one another, the watchword of our lives together, so our light goes out everywhere into the world. The service has ended. We invite all to join us at this time for coffee and conversation in the library, right here behind the sanctuary.